Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the XPEDIATOR PLC final results investor presentation. Throughout this recorded presentation, investors will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged and can be submitted at any time via the Q&A tab that's just situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. Please simply type in your questions at any time and press send. The company may not be in a position to answer every question it receives during the meeting itself. However, the company will review all questions submitted today and publish responses where it is appropriate to do so. These will be available via your Investor Meet Company dashboard, and we will notify you by email when these are ready for your review. Before we begin, I would like to submit the following poll, and if you'd give that your kind attention, I'm sure the company will be most grateful. And I'll now like to hand you over to Interim CEO Vim Powers and CFO Mike Williamson. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everyone.
My name is Wim Powers. I'm the interim CEO of XPEDIATOR since November of last year, and we'll give you a presentation on the results of the company.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mike Williamson, XPEDIATOR CFO. I've been with XPEDIATOR for 13 months now, previously holding senior financial positions throughout the logistics and transportation industry.
Going to go quickly through the agenda, which is basically, first of all, we're going to start with a business update. Mike will take us through financial results. I'll give you a review of all the divisions. We'll talk about our strategy going forward and a short summary of where we are. As you know, we're an international freight forwarding organization, and I'll start with a quick business update. Freight forwarding and warehousing and logistics and transport services. We're operating under brands of Divisional, Regional Express for the freight forwarding organizations, Divisional and Pelix for warehousing and logistics, and Affinity for transport services. We have today revenue of almost 300 million, 1,400 employees, and we're operating out of 115,000 square meters of warehousing, 34 different operating sites, and a growing or a daily growing customer base of more than 10,000 customers. Our locations, nothing much has changed from previous years, with one exception that by the end of this year, we will have a warehouse in the Netherlands of 115,000 square meter. That is going to be purpose-built, and that we are planning to open by the end of this year. Our full year results, 296.6 million, which is up 34% from previous year, and an adjusted PBT of 9.1 million, which is up 25% from previous year. Mike will go in more detail throughout the presentation on the numbers and how they come together. We made a short slide on an update on Ukraine, as we assume that that will be one of the leading questions today. As you know, that we are operating in the close neighborhood of where currently there is a full-scale war going on. Where are we today? Well, we don't see any material change to our financial performance. I can say that for the first quarter, we were trading according to expectations. It does have an impact on our operations in Lithuania, which is quite obvious, but I think that I know that we have a very strong local management there that is looking at different strategies in order to make sure that the volumes that we're losing through going into Russia are being compensated by different opportunities. We see that trading lanes are changing, and that we are trying to put as much as flexibility in there in order to pick that up. Give you a couple of examples. We have today the port of Odessa, which is blocked. We see a lot more volume coming through the port of Constanța, which our team in Romania is picking up their fair share. We had a plan to go into Poland, which have now brought a lot more focus in there, and we're trying to speed it up in order, again, to make sure that the potential loss that we see in trade lanes going into Russia or in Ukraine are being adjusted by other volumes. Mike, if you can take us through our financial results, please.
Thank you, Wim. The next few slides on the financial results are in the same format as we have previously presented over the last few investor roadshows. That is a deliberate act, so that we are reporting on a like-for-like basis with the detail. And if you have a look on the right-hand side, I'll take you through the dashboard. First of all, revenue. We are reporting 296.6 million for the financial year 2021, which is up 75.5 million from 2020, which is 34%. All three divisions are up in terms of revenue growth. Freight forwarding up by 37%, logistics up by 28%, and transport support services up by 11%. Gross profit margin slightly down against 2020 as a result of the increase in freight forwarding mix, which carries a lower margin. Adjusted PBT, as Wim said, one of our key measurements that we measure ourselves on. We're reporting 9.1 million for 2021, which is up 1.9 million on 2020 from 7.2 million, up 10%. Adjusted EPS at 3.68p. Dividend per share at 1.10p. Just an explanation there as per the text on the left-hand side. We have already paid out an interim dividend for 2021 of 0.50 pence. We are declaring a final dividend of 0.60 pence, taking our dividend per share for 2021 up to 1.10 pence. As noted, we have stated that there is a potential to declare and pay a special dividend by the end of 2022. The key factor that we'd be looking at there is really looking at the effect that the Ukraine and the geopolitical situation has on our cash flow. Lastly, net cash. We are reporting a net debt position of 4.8 million, which is up from, you can see there, the figure of June 2020. Key items that have led to this situation, which is receiving extreme focus and is high on our agenda in terms of executive management. In terms of UK freight forwarding, as Wim has already mentioned, and I have mentioned previously on previous investor roadshows, we did have an implementation of a UK freight forwarding system that we did have hiccups, which led to a deterioration in working capital. In terms of Southampton, although that business is performing well, during 2020 we did receive late delivery of that warehouse, which led to approximately 2 million of exceptional costs, which was a cash outlay, together with advance payments that happened throughout the year and I've previously commented on. Looking at the brief income statement in your screen in front, really the key item that I want to point out there that I haven't covered are the exceptional items of 2.6 million. As I've just mentioned, they are primarily relating approximately 2 million to Southampton, which will not be taking place during the course of 2020. As previously presented, the key slide is the bridge in terms of adjusted profit before tax from 7.2 million to 9.1 million, as I've just discussed. Taking you through the diagram, the bridge from left to right, you will see that we've grouped the two items of freight forwarding being up 2.9 million for the year, 2.3 relating to freight forwarding excluding e-commerce, That is primarily on the back of really good results from our Baltics and Bulgaria operations, and up £600,000 from e-commerce, which is our regional express business. Moving to the right, transport support services up 100,000. Logistics has really got two stories to it. First of all, up 400,000 from our European operations, primarily led by Palex in Romania, and down 1.5 million from our UK logistics. Two key areas that are still receiving attention and turnaround is our warehouse in Essex in Braintree and our fashion operation. Can confirm that within UK logistics, our Southampton operation is performing well. Central overheads, you can see, are flat, but I can confirm, as previously done, that central overheads are a key focus area and something that we'll be looking at reducing in 2022. Finally, over to the balance sheet. In terms of looking at total assets, up by 57.9 million. Of that, accounts receivable, trade receivables is up by 32 million, and right of use assets, primarily linked to bringing on the Southampton warehouse, is up by 26 million in line with IFRS 16 reporting. Accounts receivable is higher than kind of we would like in that level to be. It is receiving key focus, but also it is on the back of an exceptionally strong Q4 2021, leading to an increase in AR. The converse, total liabilities up 60 million, accounts payable up 21 million, virtually an equivalent increase in right of use assets of 25 million. Loans, the balancing figure, up by 14 million, which is predominantly an increase in our CID facility that we have with Investec and the use of that in line with the working capital issues we've had with UK freight forwarding. Thank you, Van.
Give you just a summary on our divisional review on where are we and what we think, where we can go with that. First of all, our freight forwarding division, a very strong performance. Like Mike already pointed out, we have 37% increase in our revenue, and that was mainly driven by our organization in the Baltics and in Bulgaria. Also, regional express, very strong performance. Where we can absolutely grow and where we need to improve is in our UK organization. We had during this year, we changed our operating system and we did an integration into one operating company, which gave us some hiccups during the year. Today, we have a stable organization and we have a stable organization where we can grow from going into our future. So all in all, I think we're well positioned to make sure that we are going to grow our business in future over this year. And so far, numbers in Q1 are confirming those. Our warehousing logistics division, again, 28% up in revenue compared to previous year. Palex, very strong performance. They are now on an average monthly basis delivering about 80,000 pallets in Romania, which is an absolute record. And there is more to come, that is for sure. We're looking at changing our location because it's becoming a bit small for the volumes that we're putting through there. The Southampton organization, as you probably will know, was delivered 6 months late, which gave us quite some hiccups in over last year. And it costed us almost 2 million in exceptional cost, making sure that we could deliver still customers at the end of the year. Today, stable, ready for a very good year, and we believe that the operation is completely stabilized and will perform as it should be performing. Our organization in Braintree still needs some additional support. We are picking up a couple of new customers in the e-fulfillment arena. We will continue pushing that because the warehouse is particularly well designed in order to deliver those kind of customers. So we will make sure that we'll bring in or continue to bring in new customers into that warehouse for e-fulfillment and going forward into that arena, as we believe that that is a growth area for the future. Our fashion business getting some significant headwind and still not completely recovered from where it needs to be. So we will need to make the decisions very, very quickly. As mentioned already before, we have a new warehouse of 18,000 square meter or 180,000 square feet that will come online by the end of this year. And it's mainly from on the basis of customers that we already have in Southampton, where we want to deliver also in the rest of Europe, and they will give us some solid basis in delivering and filling that warehouse. Our transport support services, very strong performance, a very strong management team, expanding or focusing on expanding our customer offer. Product offering is very stable and very well, and the team is also working very strongly on digitalization and robotization of our administration. We will make sure that also once we have that fully under our belt, that is something that we will expand throughout the organization to make sure that we can continue on reducing our administration cost in the organization. Our strategy going forward, we absolutely need and want and will maintain our growth. Our growth is need to be and is very strong. We're going to continue that next year. We're going to be very precautious also because of we don't know exactly what will happen in the war in Ukraine, if that continues longer, and what will be the result of the inflation that we see in the rest of Europe. Will that have a significant impact on consumer spending? Then we need to make sure that we're very cautious on that. Can you take this, Mike?
Sure. In terms of ESG strategy, we're very aware that in terms of this topic being a kind of new hot topic in terms of all organizations and corporates, it has got focus. Without running through all of the detail on the screen, in terms of environmental key focus from us, in terms of our electric car company policy, all the way down to ensuring that our sites are as environmentally friendly as possible. In terms of social, we've definitely got this on the radar as well. And a key focus for us, or a key relationship partner that we have, will be Transaid and our relationship with Transaid since 2019. In terms of governance, this really is for noting. As a PLC listed company, we have to ensure and can confirm that all items of governance are in place. We've recently brought in a new group internal auditor who is also taking care of risk management within his portfolio, and are really looking at taking steps forward in terms of that as well.
Current trading outlook, first 2 months and actually the first quarter, ahead of expectations, trading very, very nicely, despite of the Russian invasion in Ukraine. Like I already mentioned before, teams are very flexible in picking up new trade lanes, picking up new transport lanes. It's basically the nature of a freight forwarding organization to make sure that there is resilience and there is flexibility in the organization. Our volumes very steady. We are cautious, but we are very optimistic about our future and over this year. So one of the things that we are absolutely focusing on is our net debt position. We need to make sure that we improve there. We need to make sure that we have a significant improvement this year. There is a lot of focus going on in that, and we will make sure that that comes through. Stable platform. There is a good, solid operating team in place who are managing the operation at a very good level, and who are making sure that the teams around them are performing as they should be performing. So we are very sure that the headwinds that we are having today with the geopolitical situation and with the inflationary pressures, that we will be heading these straight on, and that we can continue operating and can continue delivering results as we've been doing so far. Thank you. Okay.
In terms of our key messages going forward, really kind of the same message as we have been having last year: kind of resilience and adaptable business model, strong performance going forward, clear and achievable strategy to grow business, and in terms of acquisition, a key approach to support growth. If I just look at some of the questions that are coming up on our right-hand side of the screen that we can see, one of the key questions that we've been asked today is, where are we with M&A? Have we been making any progress? And is this still part of our strategy? So the answer to all of that is yes. We have been quite busy in the M&A field during the course of 2021 and so far in 2022. Although not bringing any to conclusion, we have spent a considerable amount of time looking at that. But as a stance right now, in line with our projections in terms of profitability, in terms of stabilizing and improving cash, right now as it plays out, we are closely looking at the geopolitical situation before making any key M&A acquisitions.
Maybe I can add one point on that, is also that we are slightly redirecting our attention on the acquisitions that we are looking at, where we want to make sure that an acquisition that we're doing, that is a management team that is basically still having some growth opportunity, and that they are still there for the longer term. So making sure that we have a young, dynamic team that we bring on that see actually the value of the XPEDIATOR organization, and that can bring value to the whole organization, making sure that they are still having skin in the game going forward, and that they can also, together with them, that we can grow the company.
Wim, Mike, thank you very much indeed for your presentation this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, please do continue to submit your questions just using the Q&A tab that's situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. But just while the team take a few moments to review those questions submitted already, I would like to remind you that a recording of this presentation, along with a copy of the slides and the published Q&A, can be accessed via your investor dashboard. Mike, Wim, as you can see, we've received a number of questions throughout today's presentation. And thank you to all investors for submitting their questions. If I could please ask you just to open up that Q&A tab, and where it's appropriate to do so, read out the question and give your response, and then I'll pick up from you at the end. Thank you.
So looking through the Q&A, the key item seems to be in terms of net debt, cash, which I believe I have answered. Just to reiterate that, it really is what we believe right now is a timing issue linked to the items that I have said. I really can absolutely confirm it is absolutely key priority to us to improve that net debt position into a net cash position. in terms of timing, with regards to our kind of profitability in the income statement, we have always, in terms of a company, had a kind of slow, in terms of budget, a slow start to Q1 in terms of profitability, which, if you're having a look going forward, we start significantly ramping up from Q2, Q3, Q4, as most logistics companies do. So that would be a significant item leading to the improvement of the cash position, as well as the new structures, new personnel that we're bringing in to address this. The rest of the questions really are focusing on M&A, and if that is still a key focus, as well as all our organic growth. And just going through a lot of the questions, just touching on Ukraine, which I believe we've answered in full through them. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Vim. Mike, thank you for addressing all of those questions that you can from investors this morning. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, the company will have the opportunity to review all of the questions submitted today, and we'll publish those responses where it's appropriate to do so on the Investor Meet Company platform, and you'll be notified by email when these are ready for your review. Vim, Mike, perhaps before redirecting investors to provide you with their feedback, which I know is particularly important to the company, could I please ask you just for a few closing comments to wrap up with? Thank you.
Go ahead, Mike. Johnny.
Certainly from us, thank you for your attention today. Certainly we can answer any direct questions that you have. If you haven't raised those questions today on the online forum, you can certainly see our names and the contact information. But from my side, thank you for your time today.
Same here. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for your attention today. We will look at all these questions and answer them appropriately. So thank you very much for joining us today.
That's great. Vim, Mike, thank you very much indeed for taking the time to update investors this morning. Could I please ask investors not to close this session, as you'll now be automatically redirected for the opportunity to provide your feedback in order that the management team can better understand your views and expectations. It's only take a few moments to complete, and I'm sure will be greatly valued by the company. On behalf of the management team of XPEDIATOR PLC, we'd like to thank you for attending today's presentation. That now concludes today's session. So good morning to you all.